social media. And if you do place an order, tell me they're here on the radio. They'll appreciate that, as will we. All right, now we want to get to our guest, Patricia Fuller Taylor. She is a realtor with CB, Coldwell Banker, and of course the Integrity Plus Network with our friend Tony Zald. And she's actually won quite a few accolades this year, doing a great job for her clients. So congratulations first on that.
Thank you. I appreciate it. And thank you for having me on the show today.
Absolutely. It's always great to have realtors that are not just successful, but successful in today's market because, there's a lot of realtors doing this 30 years, but haven't quite adapted yet to what's going on out there. And this market continues to morph and change. So it's important to be working with someone who, one, has a great expertise of what's going on in the marketplace, a great reputation, and great results, and you hit all those categories. One of the things, and I was just talking the last segment about the supposed silver tsunami coming, the baby boomers selling their houses. And while that's not probably going to help the inventory side, and I went into it, not just so you know, Patricia, what we were talking about is,
Mhm.
if a senior sells their house and moves into a senior living or with their adult kids, that's a positive because they're selling a house but not buying one. But
Correct.
what we're seeing are a lot of these seniors who are not selling and then instead, buying that condo in a warmer climate and living there 6 months plus a day or whatever to get the tax advantages. So now they're actually not selling a property and buying one. That's a negative one. But I think some of the things too is, aging in place. You have people that decide that even though they don't need this 5 bedroom colonial in the suburbs because, now they're grandparents, a lot of them are thinking, you know what, we'll just retrofit this. Maybe we'll make the first floor a master living space and, they want to age in place. But with empty nesters, and that can be anyone from, could be in their late 40s up to, up and above. Empty nesters are looking at things right now because they're not tied psychologically to their low rate they got a few years ago. They're not. That's not what's holding them back. Current rates may be, but they have a free and clear property in most cases. But they've probably been in the house a long time, and this market's changed. I know you have a lot of experience with empty nesters. What are some things you're seeing? What's some advice you would give anyone listening that either is an empty nester or knows someone who is?
Sure. And I really do um, appreciate assisting empty nesters because I can help them transition to a more suitable property that aligns with their current lifestyle and needs. It's really fulfilling to guide them through this chapter and find a property that enhances what they're looking for. Um, Sometimes empty nesters are downsizing, and sometimes nesters are upsizing. If they're downsizing, typically empty nesters are looking for a one level property with 2 bedrooms to use as a home office if they're still working, or even as a guest bedroom, accessibility and close to relatives. If they're upsizing, then typically I'm seeing properties that have an in-law suite so that the empty nesters can have that for accommodations. And going back to moving closer to relatives, Coldwell Banker Realty is international and we can help anywhere in the world, whether you're moving out of state to be closer to friends and family or retirement. So we can really help you anywhere you decide to move to. Some questions that I get during the listing appointment for empty nesters is how do I buy while owning? And that timeline looks like this. They can put their property in coming soon status for up to 21 days. During that time, there are no showings. This just gets the property ready for the market. And then once your house becomes active, you can have that amount of days that your property is on the market. Typically, I would like to have the property go active on a Wednesday for showings and to prepare buyers for open houses for the weekend and then present offers on a Monday, if not sooner, whichever the seller prefers. And then after your property goes under contract, you have up to 30 to 45 days for your buyer to close, again, if not sooner. And then if that's not enough time for you, you could rent back your property from the buyer after settlement for up to 60 days. And then, of course, there's always another option of a backup plan for a short-term rental. I know this is something that always comes up during that listing appointment of having, a property that they own and then transitioning to another property that they want to buy or even rent. Um, so, yeah.
Yeah, and also, I mean, we offered a bridge loan. That's a great option.
Yeah, and also like Coldwell Banker has a revitalized program. That's another question that comes up. Sometimes sellers want to keep their reserves to purchase another property or just don't have that cash flow until after they sell their property. So Coldwell Banker Realty has a program called Revitalize. What that is 0% down, zero interest to help get the property ready for the market, and it takes a lot of stress off the seller, especially if they've been in the property for a long time, possibly haven't done any updates, and you want to get it updated for the new market. That's a great program to take advantage of. And what that program does is it lends the money to the seller for the cost of repairs, and then it's not paid back until settlement. The seller will just pay it back at, right at settlement.
All right. I mean, that's a great program. The other thing too, sort of along the same lines, is if the empty nester house maybe needs a little bit of work, not much, but just a little bit of stuff, you could even
Mhm.
market it as a renovation, so a 203K, and then the buyer coming in can actually buy the house with money to buy it plus to fix it up, so that might be an easy way to market the property as well. There's so many options out
Oh
there, and
yeah.
again, that goes back to what I said about finding yourself not only just an experienced realtor like yourself, but one who actually has a reputation and experience of helping people think outside the box and understand all the programs, everything that's going on out there. So this is all great stuff. When it comes to the seniors, the flip side of that's going to be the first time buyers, and they're being squeezed out by the hedge funds, by cash buyers, student loan debt, so many other things. What are you seeing in that market right now? Are you seeing that some of them are getting frustrated, or some of them trying to come back into the marketplace? I just saw an article the other day where they said if you're renting in today's economy, you're paying double the inflation rate. I didn't really fully comprehend exactly what the author was trying to convey, but it was a pretty intriguing headline. I'll say that.
Yeah. And that's why I really wish that I would have started at such a younger age of, purchasing properties, why invest in real estate and how can I help? As both an investor and realtor, I specialize in fix and flip projects, rentals, and sourcing investment properties for clients. I really do think that it's such a great investment to purchase a property. I don't just walk investors through the buying process prior to settlement. I also like this goes for it applies for people who are renting, encouraging to buy something so that they have money in reserves. You're not just like having money sitting in a bank account to where your money's not growing. If you were to buy something, then your money is going towards an investment. You can sell it, make that profit later. But moving to an investor, I don't, if an investor is looking for a property to fix and flip or to rent it out in a long run, I don't just walk investors through the buying process prior to settlement. I also guide them afterwards through the remodel phase, and I offer insights on current trends. I want to work side by side with, contractors to help pick what's trending and not trending to get the best value in return. We all have our own likes and dislikes, but applying what's trending while staying in budget can really make a difference for the after repair value and gives the buyer vision for their next dream home. And this comes back from having 14 years of construction background as a project manager and working with the team. It really has helped apply my experience to investors. And, you know, being at a younger age, like I just would watch my parents work hard all the time, pay the bills, pay the rent. But as I got older, I really could see the vision of why it's so important to invest in real estate. You're always going to get a return on that if you work with an experienced agent that can help walk you through the process.
Yeah, I think that's good stuff. And I want to talk in the next segment with you a little bit more about the investment side and your experience. I help realtors. In the meantime, we just got some great news on Friday morning about the inflation report. If you include the volatile food and energy costs, headline inflation, well, it did rise, 0.2%. We held steady at 2.6% annually. Now, remember, the Fed's goal was 2%, although the Evans roll was 2.5%. So it looks like the Fed is getting closer to making these cuts. And it's funny, when you research, you'll see like little snippets from different websites, three talking heads. Oh, the Fed's not going to lower rates, this and that. And then you see like six, like they're going to do more, they're going to be more cuts. For me, I'm not so worried about how many cuts. I'm worried about the total of the cuts as far as what the numbers are. So if they do 8 cuts at 1/4% each, or they do 4 cuts, but they're 3/4 each, you know, each of those has its own message that they're trying to state. But I think this is going to be good news. Now, one thing too, Patricia, and you notice in being in the business, but
Mm.
a lot of people think when the Fed cuts rates, they go, "Oh, I'm going to wait. The Fed's having a meeting next week. We're going to wait for them to see if they cut rates." The bottom line is the markets have already built in. That's why when the Fed makes their actions, you don't see much reaction in the mortgage world, because the bond traders and the analysts, everyone else, they've already sort of, unless it surprises the wrong way, then you'll see a market change. But I think for most people, I think rates are going to continue to improve somewhat. Not, we're not going to come down to the 2.75 we saw a few years ago, but I do believe we'll be in the low sixes, and there's a chance we could be in the high fives at some point. And to that, I tell people, I think if you are emotionally and financially ready to buy a house, now's a great time. Don't try to time the rate market. Get in now when the competition is not quite as severe, because when rates drop further, it's going to be even crazier. You're going to have, what we saw several years ago, 30 people trying to buy one house and
Mhm.
escalation clauses. If you buy now, you're going to get appreciation, and then you can always turn around and refinance and save some money. And here's something that no one's really talking about. Let's say you buy now, and you're putting whatever 5-10% down, so you have mortgage insurance. Now obviously if you turn around and refinance, say a year from now, and you have enough equity, you're not going to be able to really get rid of the mortgage insurance unless you refinance. If you refinance, you can, but you can't get rid of it just by saying, hey, look, my house is worth more. You need typically 2 years on those type of things on most programs, and you can't remove it on FHA anyway. But you could buy and not only lower your rate, but if the rates go up enough, or equity goes up enough, you might also save not just on the rate, but on the MI component. Whereas if you wait, you're going to have to use the MI. So something to think about there too. A lot of people aren't really discussing. And for peace of mind, we give that complimentary home warranty on our purchases as well. You know that from working with our team. But let's talk a little bit about you. We got about 2 minutes here. Why don't you share with people if they're interested? Maybe they are an empty nester. Maybe they are an investor. Maybe they are a first time buyer. How can they reach you and hire you to help them, buy or sell their property?
Yeah, so thank you for that informative um, information you just shared. That you couldn't have said it any better. And, working with the right realtor can really make all the difference in your real estate journey. And here's why I feel as though I stand out. I'm well rounded, whether you're buying, selling, investing. I have a plan for every phase. I have comprehensive marketing. So selling your property can sometimes be stressful, but with my 3-level marketing package, I aim to minimize that stress and have a calculated approach. I'm passionate about real estate. It's not just a job for me, it's my passion. I genuinely love what I do, and that enthusiasm translates into a dedicated and a personalized service for my clients. And I really feel like that shows. I work off of referrals. Seeing my clients happy is the ultimate reward. 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 And I'm committed to understanding their unique needs and working to exceed their expectations. Community involvement. I don't just operate in the community, I actively want to contribute to it. Being involved allows me to better understand the local market dynamics and connect with people on a personal level. Getting to know them on a personal level helps understand their unique needs and creates a smooth process. If you would like to reach me directly, my cell phone is 443-306-1026. My email address is patricia.taylor@cbmove.com, or you can find me on different social media platforms under Patricia Taylor Homes.
All right, perfect. We're going to take a quick break here, let our sponsors talk about the great things they do. When we come back, we're going to talk more Patricia about all the great things she does. Stay tuned.
The Weekend Real Estate Report will be right back on 1057 The Fan.
You're listening to a pre-recorded show.
Now back to the Weekend Real Estate Report on 1057 The Fan.
All right. Well, look, if you're looking for a mortgage, look no further. You got us right here. Fremont Mortgage Group, for over 30 years, helping people find homes, buy homes, refinance homes, and just answer basic questions. And of course, about 18 years here on the radio station, giving out great advice each Sunday and helping our listeners educate themselves so they can be better consumers when it comes to the home buying and the housing market. And as such, here we are this Sunday with our guest, Patricia Taylor, and we're talking about just overall real estate in the market. And I wanted to ask you this, Patricia, is, the first-time buyers market, always competitive. There's just, you have the hedge fund buyers, the corporate buyers, cash buyers, investors, everyone else in there. It makes it very, very difficult. Of course, it's driving up prices. Of course, there's not a whole lot of inventory. And then you add in the fact that all the people that bought a few years ago are psychologically married to the rate, although I think that's going to start changing soon. I think we're even starting to see some of that. But the flip side to that is, you read a lot of articles that say the quote jumbo, the luxury home market is not doing as well. And I wanted to share something that just happened recently. We had a client that found a house. They were looking around for a while. They found a house they absolutely loved. It was around $990,000 asking price. And they're like, you know what? We're not losing out again. They offered $1.2 million with a $200,000 appraisal gap guarantee. And guess what? Someone outbid them.
It's crazy.
Yeah,
And typically you would see something like that for houses like maybe under 400,000. But I actually heard the same story and I was amazed, like, for that price point that they still got outbid. And I know that does come up with new buyers. I'm currently working with a buyer who's concerned about being in a multiple offer situation. She's a strong cash buyer as well. So for scenarios like that, if they're a little bit worried about being in those situations, then I tend to like them to look at properties that have been on the market for a little bit longer. And I know, like, some things come up where they're like, oh, well, what's wrong with the property if it's been on the market a little bit longer? It doesn't necessarily mean that something's wrong with the property. It could just mean that it wasn't priced properly. So when we do a little bit of the comps and digging, then we could go present an offer to the seller that might be more comparable to the comps that we found. So that's something I would suggest as a first time buyer if they're a little bit concerned about being in a multiple offer situation, that's an alternative.
Yeah, and to your point, if a house in the market a long time, it could be maybe it's not priced correctly, as you said. It could also be the seller's a little bit unreasonable, like, oh, my cousin in Missouri, they got 40,000 more than the asking price. Well, they're basing it on a totally different market, and it might have been a different house. I mean, it could have been all kinds of stuff going on, right? So after 6 months of lowball, well, not lowball, to them lowball, but realistic offers, maybe then you catch them at the right time when they realize, hey, maybe we were a little bit out of sync here with what's going on. So I mean, that is a good strategy. I feel for the people who, especially in the first time buyers market, that 200 to say 400,000 price range, that competition is so robust, and it's only going to get worse when rates improve even more. So again, I think now, if you're thinking about it, now's a good time. If you have a good realtor and a good lender behind you, it's going to help. I mean, we've had, and I don't know if you've seen this, but I know Tony's talked about it. He's had deals where his client who was using us for financing wasn't the highest offer, but it was the offer that got accepted because the seller's agent is like, hey, look, we're going to go with these guys because I know they'll close. I don't trust this lender. Yeah, it's 30,000 more, but I just don't trust this lender. The combination of a good realtor and a good lender are going to help you. And a lot of people don't think about that. They just go online and, oh, here's the lowest rate. Trust me, there's companies out there that they're posting the lowest rate out there because they know that's what some people are looking for. You won't get the rate, and you probably won't get the loan closed. You'll just be out of a lot of money and miss out on a house. But that's very, very important. So I don't know, did you want to talk a little bit about just the importance of choosing the right realtor and the right lender?
Yes, and that definitely makes all the sense. And going back to, like, a house being on the market for a little bit longer, it's also an opportunity to get those inspections and not have to waive so many contingencies to get a property. Whereas, like, if you're in a multiple offer situation, sometimes buyers are waiving those concessions to be able to get their offer accepted. So this is a great opportunity for you to get an inspection and not to waive some of those concessions. Yeah.
No, I mean, I think it makes a lot of sense. Um, any other, like I shared a story about the person that had the appraisal gap and still didn't win. Can you think of any examples, recent or maybe even a little bit older, that maybe might benefit our listeners that you have from just real firsthand experience?
I'm sure. Yeah, definitely working with the right realtor and lender makes all the difference. I had an experience last year where a lender would gave a pre-approval letter to a buyer, and then we put in an offer, got under contract, and the buyer, the rates went up, and the lender was not in communication with the buyer or wouldn't get back to me, so it changed her being pre-approved for this property. And it was, oh my gosh, like it was just a horrible experience. Couldn't get a hold of the lender on the weekend, couldn't get a hold of the lender on the evening. So definitely having the right realtor and lender makes all of the difference.
Yeah, I just want to clarify that this story has nothing to do with our company.
No, no,
In
no,
fact,
no.
we pride ourselves on working nights and weekends, and we've picked up a lot of great realtors because loan officers they've used for years, they're just getting tired of the fact that, like, well, no, I don't work weekends. Well, my clients work during the week. Weekends are the only time they're available. We're there for
Right.
you, so that's important.
Yes, they're at their open houses. They're out there, looking at showings. We want to make sure that the pre-approval letter that they got, even a week ago, if something's changed, to make sure that we're putting in an offer on this property and copying that lender for our offer so that the lender can communicate with the listing agent to make sure that we're still a strong offer and a buyer.
All right, makes sense. All right, as far as the markets right now, we're seeing, rates have come down somewhat. We're seeing more interest. Are we seeing more interest in sellers? Or sellers starting to come back a little bit?
Mm, I for those empty nesters, if there is like a reason for them to sell, I'm seeing that. But if there's still an option if you want to sell your property and purchase a property. I'm one of them who I have a property with a 2% interest rate, but there was a reason for me to move. I wanted to be closer to my daughter's school. So I use that passive income from my 2% property to purchase a new property, to apply that to my mortgage, my new property at a higher interest rate. So if there's a reason why a seller needs to move, then that's where we're seeing decisions made based on that.
All right. And then I guess any, I don't want to say fraud, but any like pitfalls or things you're seeing that clients need to watch out for? Because as the market changes, there's always some new things that pop up that, we'd rather share it now rather than experience it firsthand. We could be pretty, I guess, liberal in how we want to look at that.
What do you mean? I'm sorry.
Just anything you've seen, like you gave the example of someone that, they didn't get their pre-approval, and then rates went up. But anything else you could think of, like, I don't know, someone trying to buy. Well, here's a good example. Sellers who sell their house but don't get pre-approved, and then find out they got a contract on their house, but now they don't qualify to buy the next house. Like little things that people may not think of that you've seen, that just tips to help our listeners avoid mistakes. That's all.
Right. So then that's when we go to the listing presentation, then that's when we would check to see if they're a contingent seller. So then they would need to sell their property and go under contract for a new property, but settle before they purchase their new property to be able to move that income to a new property.
All right. And then, once again, you help people with, whether it's empty nesters, first time buyers, move up buyers, downsizing buyers, investment properties. Let's talk a little bit about investment with the time we have left here. I know you own some investment properties, but what are some things that new investors, someone who's thinking like, yeah, I like what she said, maybe I should have a couple rental properties to help my, retirement out down the road. What are some things that you would recommend for first time investors?
Sure. So first time investors, again, I walk them through the whole process. I don't just get them under contract. I like to pull I like to pull sold and rental comparables so that they could see which option works best for them, whether, being in a rental property long term or something that they want to sell and make a return short term. Um, I also like to walk them through our marketing package. Some contractors that do fix and flips don't want to stage a property, and staging really makes all the difference. I'm guilty of it myself, of not wanting to stage my first investment property, especially after making all the updates. I felt to myself, why would I need to stage this beautiful property? But after making a decision of staging the property, it really gave buyers a vision and made all the difference in the marketing package, especially with the photos. So I like to walk investors through that process. And if they're renting out the property, I can also assist landlords in finding tenants and screening those tenants as well.
Yeah, that's important because a lot of people think, okay, I've got the money and I've got the desire, but I don't really think about managing the property and, finding tenants and how to screen them properly and all the other stuff. So those are all important factors. And I think, again, when it comes to real estate in this marketplace, there's a lot of things that people need to understand. And I always say, look, one, are you emotionally ready? Because it is an emotional decision. And then more importantly, are you financially ready? And obviously, a good lender can help you go over all that. What people need to understand too is there's a lot of programs out there, including grants and everything else. So people who think, well, I don't have 20% saved up, that's an admirable quest, but it doesn't need to be that way. I mean, there are programs out there where you can get in with no money down. There's grants, there's other things. And I'm a big advocate of, if you have enough money to pay cash, at least look at the other options, because maybe the payment's a little bit more, but you still have that cash liquid. What if another property comes up? If all your money was tied up in that one house, yeah, I guess you can go get a home equity loan or anything else. But if the cash is there, you can strike quickly. So there's a lot of different things to look at: opportunity cost, options, etc. And I love the program in Maryland where you can buy a house and get up to $50,000 of your student loans paid off. I love the other grant programs for first-time buyers, unique programs like USDA. There's all kinds of nuances with VA and other programs out there. So, again, working with a lender that not only works nights and weekends, but has a long-term reputation and all the products, and more importantly, is a true lender, not a broker. We can get these things done for you. And with a great realtor, such as yourself and your team at the Integrity Plus Network, I mean, the results are there. So a lot of things to think about for people. Once again, if someone's interested in hiring you, tell them how they can reach you.
Of course, if they would like to reach me directly, they can reach me on my cell phone at 443-306-1026. My email address is patricia.taylor@cbmove.com, or you can find me on different social media platforms under Patricia Taylor Homes.
All right, sounds good. Well, we just got done interviewing our friend Patricia Fuller Taylor. She is with CB Coldwell Banker, the Integrity Plus Network with Tony Zoud and his team, doing a great job, receiving all kinds of awards and accolades because she really puts her clients first, knows her stuff, and most importantly, gets those results. In the meantime, if you need a mortgage, listen, we've been around since 1992. We've been doing this a very, very long time. We've got some of the same people we started with way back then, so they're very, very experienced. And that's why we always say, don't make a 30-year mistake by choosing the wrong lender. Give us a call. We have people on staff even today, Sundays, Saturdays, weeknights. We're here to help you out. Never an application fee. And we give a complimentary home warranty of qualifying purchases. 100% financing programs, grant programs, all those other things out there. And again, we know what we're doing, so we're happy to help you out. If you need us, 800-955-8508. You check us out on social media. We'll post open houses, tips, all kinds of latest things there for you. And of course, the topics we're going to cover on the radio show. You can catch us every Sunday here. And of course, our website, Fremont, FREEDMONT.com, and MLS number 1846. Hey, have a great Sunday, great rest of the week. If you need us, we're here for you. If you have any questions you want us to discuss on air, hit us up at Fremont.com. And of course, we'll talk to you next Sunday. Patricia, thank you again for joining us today and sharing your expertise. You have a great Sunday as well.
You too. Thank you.
You're welcome.